Hello everyone. It's Friday. It's been 4 days since the Boston Marathon. I've been home now for 2 days. Wednesday, I traveled all day. I traveled about 9 hours of flying. I got home, I had an amazing dinner, and I passed out at 6 p.m. Technically it was 9 p.m. Boston time, but I was back home. I fell asleep at 6 o'clock p.m. and I woke up at 7:30 a.m. the next morning. Got 13 hours of sleep, the deepest, most wonderful sleep I could ever ask for. It was awesome. Went back to work Thursday, recovered, went back to work today, recovered some more, got my first workout at the gym in about 11 weeks. I have my race analysis here. I'm going to do a race recap with you guys and talk a little bit about it and how I feel and where I'm going this year with running. I know that some of you specifically will be glad to hear what I'm choosing to do. I just want to give a quick shout out to Mr. Bernard Hard. Follow him on Strava, look him up. He's really been kind with words and really encouraging me to start running, and I appreciate those words. So this year's gonna be in your favor, sir. Alright, race analysis. Boston was incredible. We were projected to have thunderstorm for the whole marathon, and I was a little nervous about it. Well, it was dumping if you've seen in my Instagram story. Then with about 15 minutes before we started walking to the start line, it got dry, stopped raining, and the sun started peaking. By the time we got to the race, the sun hadn't quite come out all the way, but it was dry, it was warm, it was in between 60 and 70 degrees with 80% humidity. We started the race and then the sun came out and it was warm. I was very grateful for that. A lot of other people, on the other hand, said it wasn't ideal weather for a marathon. For people who don't train in the heat or don't thrive in the heat, it wasn't their ideal weather. Back to the race, we're gonna start out first mile. So I started this race 22:59 out of 30,000. So that means out of 30,000 people, I qualified 2259, fastest time. So that's where I got to start in the race. It's really cool that they do that. I started out, we couldn't go super fast, and for me, going really fast at the beginning of a race because I'm excited, that's what I do, and then I slowly slow down towards the end. So I really wanted to make sure that I stuck to my goal at or around 6 minutes and 30 seconds per mile, because that was my goal, to do the marathon at 6:30. Well, my first mile was 6:35, and I knew that was okay because we were crowded. We were crowded for the first half of the marathon, but as we got going a few miles, I was able to make some moves if I was really careful without tripping over other people or cutting them off. But the first mile was 6:35. I think that was probably everybody's slowest mile besides the elite runners in the front. Our second mile was 6:18, not too much faster, closer to the 6:30 range as opposed to the 6-minute range. Third mile was 6:17, that was pretty dialed. My fourth mile was quite quick, it was a 6:02. I got really excited, I started passing people, and I started just getting that ump. I felt really good. I felt really good at the marathon, believe it or not. Felt outstanding. I felt unstoppable. My fifth mile was a 6:24. Sixth was 6:10. My seventh was 6:10. I got two 6:10s in a row. My eighth mile was 6:16. 9 was 6:15. Mile 10 was 6:24. 11, 6:26. 12, 6:27. 13, halfway mark, 6:28. Mile 14 was 6:37. That was my slowest mile so far out of 14 miles. And then mile 15 was 6:44. 16 was 6:36. And then I got into some of the climbs. Mile 17 I did a 7:03, but I was still going faster than 6:30 for most of those miles, so I felt still safe with running my pace. Also because mile 17 and 22 was where the climbing was, leading up to Heartbreak Hill at mile 22, and then it was downhill from there. So I thought I had a great plan. And then 18 was 7:21, 19 7:08, 20 7:21, 21 was 7:57. That's where we hit Heartbreak Hill, and I was feeling it. It's about 500 feet of climbing there or so, 400 or 500 feet of climbing at Heartbreak Hill. 21, 22 miles in, I was feeling it for sure. It was hot, and I slowed down a lot more than I thought. But then I thought that on the downhill, I would be able to just pick it up and go fast. Well, I've never experienced lactic acid buildup in my thighs because I've always ran pretty fast. So going slower, I felt the lactic acid buildup, and my legs didn't want to go fast downhill, so it kind of backfired. So mile 22, like I said, was 7:12. Mile 23 was 7:35. 24 was 7:36. And then 25 was 7:47. With 1 mile to go, I was really feeling it. It was hot. We were right in the sun. But I didn't know I could go any faster because my legs were killing me and I didn't want to die before the end. But then as I hit mile 26 and everybody was cheering, and as I got around that last left turn, the finish line was in the distance, but as soon as I seen the clock, I could visually see the time. It just hit 2 hours, 59 minutes. And I told myself in my head that I at least wanted to run a sub 3 hour marathon since my sub 250 was out of the question. I just sprinted as hard as I could. I ran as hard as I could. I thought that I was just going to fall face first on the cement once I went to that finish line. And I told myself, you have a minute to get to that finish line, you better make it. And I remember running, and so the last 0.38 mile, I ran a 5:58 at the end of the marathon, which is awesome. And I went through the line right at 3 hours. Well, when I got my notification from Boston telling me I did a 2:58.58, still awesome, under 3 hours, I realized that I was in wave 1. We started 2 minutes and 2 seconds after the elite group, the winners. All of the elite athletes got to go 2 minutes ahead of us to make sure there was absolutely no interference. They all did an outstanding job. I got a 2:58.58. I'm super stoked. It was a little slower than my personal record. This is only my second marathon. I qualified for Boston at CIM 2017 with a 2:52.46, and I did a 2:58.58, a 6:47 mile. That's still outstanding, especially considering I did no training for this race. I ran a couple times. I'm grateful that I'm talented enough to go on hopes and dreams, but after having a really good 3-hour conversation on the flight home with a gentleman named Brett and his wife Alana, they are runners for a living in Arizona. He's 47, and he ran a 2:36, and he gave me some pointers, so I've decided to really go for it. I know that I said this after I ran Shamrock and got 8th place a couple of years ago. I had an absolute wonderful time at Boston, and it was really great, and I just feel like there is something there, and if I don't try and bring it out in myself, I've always been one that didn't want to wonder if, and so I'm going to make it happen. I want to do CIM 2019 in December this year, and I want to do it on a structured training plan, and I want to show everybody the difference between running on born with some talent and just, gambling compared to a trained, structured marathon effort. So then we can compare the two. And if I do really well and I absolutely blow my best time out of the water, then I may consider coaching next year. I think it would be a great thing to look into. And I'll tell you what, if I don't, I can tell you I'm going to get a hell of a lot stronger doing it. So it's kind of like a win-win. And you know what, who knows, I may not enjoy it after I'm training, but I'm going to try it because the last few runs I've done, I've had a lot of fun. And running Boston on Monday, I can tell you that I don't feel like I've ever raced smarter in my whole life, minus the not training beforehand, with the nutrition, and I hydrated more than I normally would on a ride, and I had 3 Cliff Goos at the cliff stops. I felt fully fueled the whole run. I still have not cramped to this day. 4 days after the marathon, I didn't cramp. My muscles were tight. That's normal after a marathon. I felt like I played everything really smart. I'm excited to see what I can do with my body. I'm really excited to explore the capabilities of myself mentally and physically and share that with you guys, because I think that I could be onto something here and I can really push my mental and physical boundaries with running specifically. Let's do it. CIM 2019 December, the end of the year. I'm going to try and do a couple of half marathons along the way. I'm going to capture all of my training blocks with you guys and let you know what I'm doing, and you can follow my journey. Thanks for watching. See you guys next time. Good night.